What's going on, family? Welcome back to the channel. Now, the market is going absolutely nuts per usual. In this particular video, we are going to be going over our market analysis for this particular week. Now, since it is the beginning of a new month, I do want to cover some key data points that we have coming through the remainder of the month, some relative strength equities or stocks or names that we should pay attention to, and then some relative weak names that you could potentially grabbing shares or long dated option contracts, whatever your forte is. Now, as a disclaimer, I'm not your financial advisor, so this is for educational purposes only. Been doing this for about 6 to 7 years actively, and I educate my community in here. So this video is sponsored by Leverage Club, our Leverage University, and all of our leverage resources here. So you can see inside of our Discord, the links will be down below. We have our options, we have our watch list, we have our swing trade ideas, we have our trade wins. Shout out to a couple of our community members that have made money today, just on today, right, $700 right there, and it just goes on and on and on. So we want to make sure that, yes, there are a lot of communities out there, there's a lot of educators out there in this particular space, but what I'm proud of is that we have educational resources, right? So I do record trainings to get everyone started, explaining things as you can see right here, making sure that everyone understands the reason why you are buying that particular stock or company, whatever it is, index, ETF, or why you're jumping in, when and where to enter and exit for trading options. So whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or you are well advanced, I appreciate you being here. So hit me a like, subscribe, share this out with a friend, and let's jump into this market analysis. So as always, I want to make sure that, let me move my head out of the way. All right. So I want to make sure we go over our fundamental analysis here, which is going to be the S&P 500, the Dow Jones. Let's look at it. And the market's about to close in about 30 minutes. So we have not officially hit the end of the day yet. All right. So let's jump into our Dow, and then let's jump into the Russell. All right. So we've got S&P, we got the Dow Jones, and then we've got our NASDAQ and our Russell 2000. Now, you can see here that tech was very, very strong, led by our semiconductors, which are NVIDIA, AMD, TSM, Qualcomm. You just keep going down the line. IWM was really good today. We do have some other tech names that are very strong. Meta broke out today, and some other names that we'll go over in just a minute on the charts. Now, we are still overall bullish, right? This is just the first day of the week here, but we do have some key data that we'll see on the docket here coming up in the next couple of days that could potentially, right? We've been continuously saying this, that, hey, just be aware of the massive pullback, right? But it is a little bit more difficult to trade or to want to buy at these all-time highs. So just be, have your head on a swivel. But overall, we are extremely bullish, and it doesn't look like we're slowing down, especially with relative strength names leading the market. Okay, we need a catalyst, something to happen, a news article, just something drastic to happen for us to get that catalyst to pull us back. But until then, hey, we are bullish. Okay, so if you are fairly new, if you have your long-term brokerages, you don't even know how to trade or anything, you're probably up in your 401k, your SEP IRA, whatever that might be, your retirement funds, or if you trade just equities or you buy stocks and hold dividends or ETFs or whatever it might be, you're most likely continuously up right now. All right. So make sure you protect those gains. Make sure you are attentive to what's going on. And yeah, that's why we're here. All right, let's jump into, so we've gone over this here. I'm still extremely bullish. Let's look at the economic calendar for the week. Now, I do these live on our Discord here every Sunday. So at the time of this recording, it is Monday. So I'm a little bit late in this recording. However, it still is applicable to this week. So everything that we talked about, if you're in our live Discord for Sunday market analysis, I appreciate you. Everything has played out to perfection starting out the week. All right. So our economic calendar, we were fairly light today. Okay. So you can see here that on March 4th, there was some sideways action kind of going on. The price action, the momentum really wasn't there at the beginning of the day, right? So it was a little bit tough to trade other than just buying a call and just letting it run for relative strength names, NVIDIA, chip sector, whatever it might be. Finance was very strong today. So very light on the docket here. Now, you can see here as we go heavier into the week, we've got a couple of things happening. We've got ISM in the morning, so that should give us some volatility. And we have a couple of Fed speakers, or one Fed speaker speaking a couple of times here in the afternoon. And then we're leading in on Wednesday into the big man here, Federal Chair Jerome Powell testifies to Congress. So when he's speaking, there should be some extreme volatility along with job openings, U.S. inventory. So Wednesday is going to be a massive day. And then I want to pay attention to how tomorrow pans out for the volatility. Okay. Now, going into Thursday and Friday, heavy data, non-farm payrolls, big data report there. Initial jobs claims every Thursday. We try to see where our unemployment is headed. Are more people filing for unemployment, or is the job market still good? So we got consumer credit, just very heavy. Looks like Powell is chomping his lips yet again on Thursday. So, hey, Wednesday and Thursday, I'm that maybe that's our catalyst. Who knows, right? And send us in one direction or the other. So you're kind of seeing here when we jump on the charts, you'll see how this right here, especially if you're new, correlates to the charts and why we may want to just have our head on a swivel. All right, so stay with me. All right, so we've gone there. Let's go into our fear and greed index. All right, our fear and greed index is sitting at 80. All right, 80. If you were a new investor, okay, this is the simplest way to understand where to buy and when to potentially trim. I don't like to say sell your long-term things, anything like that as a suggestion. It's just when we're in extreme greed right here, you want to have your head on a swivel, meaning just be aware that there could be a catalyst that shoots us back, which will give us that healthy market pullback. All right. So as a reminder, I'd usually do these for my market analysis. You can see here on the chart what happens every time we get in extreme greed. Okay, 79, 80, 81. A catalyst comes out of nowhere, and then we start trending downwards. Okay, we trend downwards, right? And it starts a cascade of just, okay, that was the catalyst. Maybe this is our healthy pullback. All right, this is last March. All right, March 7th, 6th, right? We have this catalyst coming down here. All right. So if that repeats for whatever reason, right, this is a new year, we could shoot higher. It could just disregard everything. But this high right here, right, look at this catalyst that could potentially get us started on that healthy pullback, right? It may not be much this year, potentially, depending on what's being said with Federal Reserve Chairman Powell and the FOMC meeting coming up in the middle of March. All right. Let's jump back on the calendar really quick and let me see it. It will show me. I don't think it goes all the way out just yet, but we have PPI and CPI coming out next week. So we got heavy data coming out. PPI and CPI were not good last time. All right. They were much higher than expected. So if they come out very similarly, then we could have that catalyst on the downside. All right. Cool. Let's jump into, give me a 100, a fire emoji, whatever it is. A 100 or a fire emoji down in the comments if this is good so far, if you are following along with me as we build on this market analysis. All right. Now, here's another fear and greed index that has the crypto sector, right? So a little bit different here. Let me see if I can refresh it. It may come up to 80. Yeah, roughly. Stock market 80. And then crypto sector, extreme greed here. Okay, we have now reached on the crypto sector. I will go over that in just a second, but we have reached that last all-time high at 67,000, and we may push potentially up into that 69 or 70 psychological level. All right. Cool. I think that's all the fundamental analysis. Let's jump on the charts. And this is cool because I don't think I've done a market analysis with the market running for the day. Okay. So let's jump on SPY first, right? SPY first. What we were looking for is really a pullback into this 510, 509 area today. And it just did not want to give it to us, right? It just kind of consolidated and consolidated and consolidated and then finally ripped up to new highs at 514. All right. So you can see here that I've turned this previous resistance into a new support to see if we hold that, or do we break down below it and we start getting weak and coming down here. So this gave us a signal that, hey, there's still buyers. right? Even at these all-time highs, they're still pushing it. We still have relative strength, and we're continuously to grind up and grind up and grind up. All right, you can see here on this major chart, on the daily time frame, we're just grinding and we're grinding and we're grinding and we're grinding. All right. For those that trade futures or looking at futures, okay, this is the S&P futures E-mini. Okay. Same thing, right? SPY is the ETF. Okay. So if I'm looking at the futures, it's still giving us bullish sentiment, right? On a weekly candle, that still looks like a hammer candle there that continuously pushes up and pushes up and pushes up, right? And we may go to this psychological level of, let me just move this up here. Potentially, it may try to just trend up to 5,200, right? It may try to trend up to that psychological 5,200 potentially. All right. It needs to happen quick before that man Powell starts chomping his lips. Okay. So we could have that next leg up if we close strong above 513 today. All right. So I'm not ruling it out at all. All right. Let's jump into QQQ. All right. QQQ, a little bit weaker, right? We have, a little bit of a double top, a resistance here sitting right at 446 and some chains. So SPY has been just absolutely strong. As you can see here, this green area on my charts are the finance sector. So I've got my whole finance sector that was just absolutely ripping today. So the financial sector, all green other than American Express, MasterCard, Visa, but very strong there for the financial sector that was running the market today for the S&P. All right. QQQ, we're sitting in resistance. So let me slow down here for those that are fairly new. When you're looking at the charts, you want to look at where resistance, where these wicks are happening here. And then also you want to correlate that to the fundamental news. So remember that extreme greed, we're at 80, 79, 81, right? So this is correlating in some retrospect to that sentiment, right? So if you are a massive, hedge fund or you are a big money buyer, you want to buy low, sell high, right? So up here, it gets tough to trade or to want to buy at all-time highs. You can still dollar cost average or, day trade or scalp or whatever it might be in these ranges. But overall, we want big moves. We want big swings back and forth. All right. So what I want to look for this week is if we get any signal from data going into next week, PPI, CPI, if Powell says something, definitely could pull us back, right? So ultimately, I want this 440 level on QQQ. If we start breaking down below that 440, yes, there is this gap fill down here, but I do believe that buyers are still going to step in very, very quickly. It has to be some serious negative news. So play the range 445, 446, down to 440, 440 bounce, take it back up. And then if we get some aggressive selling or aggressive buying, it breaks out of these ranges. Cool. We're into the next zone. All right. So SPY, a little bit stronger than QQQ or the tech sector. And then we've got IWM. IWM is our small cap companies. Okay. People taking profit. I still like IWM the most, in my opinion, depending on how our data and our interest rate news comes out soon enough. Okay. So we start having some potential rate cuts coming sooner than expected, which I believe it is supposed to be in part of Q2, May, June area. So we'll get a little bit more clarification when Federal Reserve Chairman Powell speaks. But IWM, I like it up to this 210 mark and then ultimately back up to 230, these all-time highs. Okay. So 210, 220, and then ultimately 230. So I do like IWM as long as it retains above this 202 level. I kind of trailed it up a little bit here. I did have above 200 as a zone, but now I want it to maintain really above this 204 level. Okay, above this 204 level. As long as it's above that 204 level, I like it long. Okay, for calls, If you want to buy shares, you're more than welcome. But in the trading space, I like it. Former resistance, key area here. So I like that whole zone. Okay. 204, 203. If we get weak and tick down into there, 203. But that whole range, it's just for buying calls on dips. Okay. I like long dated call options. Okay. On IWM. So that'll be 30 days out, potentially into this June 21st date. I like that as well. They are a little bit pricey, but you can see the open interest and also the volume on it still high there. So there's IWM. So in order, SPY, the strongest right now. You have QQQ, sort of weak just because tech has been running out of nowhere for the past year and a half, roughly. And then you have IWM, which has been lagging behind and it's kind of picking up steam now. So there are the indexes. Okay. Let's jump into a couple of the relative strength names. NVIDIA. Okay. NVIDIA here, just absolutely strong. It's gotten an upgrade multiple times, right? And it's just been stair stepping its way up. Okay. Now, what should we watch for here on NVIDIA? If you traded or if you're watching for it, please be mindful that we are due. If the market decides to pull back, yes, NVIDIA can also pull back here, potentially in holding up this 830 level. Okay, so I am watching that. Ultimately, it may not even pull back that far, right? I'll be watching this, but I want the deepest pullback possible for NVIDIA to retest this 826, 830 area. All right. As close it is as NVIDIA is to the psychological 900, I can definitely see it trying to make its way up to that 900 level. Okay. So pull back into this area there and then trying to go to that 900. But we are sitting at all-time highs with SPY and QQQ. So if those get fairly weak for whatever reason, it could pull NVIDIA back slightly. All right. But NVIDIA essentially is doing its own thing at this point. All right. So just be on the lookout for that. Relatively strong, right? Comparative to the market. But if the market starts to get a little bit weak, yes, we could see NVIDIA come back. Wow. Look at that. Look at that. Oh my goodness. This is cool to do it live. Do you see what I'm talking about here? Right. So sellers waiting for that end of the day short right there. And then just massive push down. All right. So that could continue into tomorrow potentially. Right. But that is a massive sell candle right there. And as we see, as we speak, NVIDIA, look at this. I'm literally speaking it as it's happening. All right. So this is what I'm a little bit cautious of. You can see how drastic that is as people chase these highs and chase these highs. All right. Let's look at some other names. Let's look at Apple today, how it performed. Apple sold off. It had some negative lawsuit news here. So where is it? Antitrust regulations, some lawsuit type of things going on, some legal stuff. But it's a good thing because we got that nice, real big push down into this 173 demand support area. Okay, so previous area, all this buyers, former resistance 173, and then holding up this area, getting a nice relief off of there. So we will see how we react with the entirety of the market. But Apple got a nice little relief bounce there, and we will have to assess tomorrow if it wants to continue down lower to 170, 165, or do we get a nice relief bounce all the way back up to 180? But yeah, it looks good off of this area, but still got to be reminded that we have broken down past these lows here. So even if we retract back up, it's still below that 180. All right. So as long as we're below 180, right, we can get a nice push up to the upside. But hey, as far as trading goes, now for buying shares, great time to pick up shares for everybody. If you want to pick up shares of your favorite company, this is a great time for dollar cost averaging for these companies that are beat down. All right, let's go over some more companies that have been beat down today. Tesla was talking about this to our live community. I've been mentioning it. I think I mentioned it maybe on the last market analysis that Tesla, as beat down as it has been, all right, got to look at the technicals here, and you can see that people are waiting for that real big Tesla bubble push, right? They want that big push back up to 300 plus, and they're just waiting and waiting and waiting, and they're not understanding for some people why it's not going just yet. This is why technical analysis matters. So while you're watching this grind and grind and grind up, right, we're still forming a little bit of a bear flag. Okay, so I put this out to the community and said, hey, be on lookout for this. Can't get back above. I know there's a gap fill here, but if we can't get above that 206, 207 area, we're coming back down. And if we get below these lows right here, okay, we get below those lows, 198, then we're coming back down to 192, 190, and ultimately we just kept squeezing down lower to that 186 level. All right. Personally, I believe even with these wicks right here, going into close, personally, I believe, hey, we may have lower with SPY and QQQ at all-time highs and Tesla pushing lower here relative to the market. So we could get another reject back up here, this 193 area. Okay, 193, 190. Ultimately, if we push all the way back up into this 198 area, that will be another big short opportunity. But we'll have to see if it even wants to push up that far. So 193 will be the first shorting position there, watching it and then shorting it potentially down into this 180 demand. All right, so there's that trade idea. Okay. And again, if you are, let me pause for a second because I know there's newbies or beginners here watching this market analysis. When you see things beat down, okay, and you don't understand how to trade, you're not comfortable with options or anything like that, beat down for solid companies means on sale. It's a buying opportunity. So just be mindful of that, that if you want to pick up Tesla shares, TSLL shares, okay, this is the direct bullish nature of Tesla. So TSLL anywhere underneath $10 is a good buy opportunity for shares. Okay, if you're not comfortable with buying Tesla shares at that price, right? You can buy TSLL. And when Tesla was at its highs, TSLL was at $20, and yeah, Tesla was at 300 plus. Okay, so be on lookout for that. But for my traders out there, people who want to understand how to trade, right? Trade options more specifically in our community, right? You can see here that we'd be looking for potentially puts. Okay, so we're trading with the trend and it's forming bear flags. So big push down. I'd be looking up or push into this 192, right? If it can't reclaim 193, I'd be looking for a nice retest there to come lower. Now, I know this is over a couple of days, but I'd be looking for it potentially in one day. Okay. So that's what I'll be looking for potentially for tomorrow, right? Pushing up into this range. See how we open tomorrow, right? There's definitely buyers, people wanting Tesla to go higher, right? They've been waiting, especially long-term shareholders. So there you go. There's Tesla. I want to take this bounce pretty heavy here. This 181, 183 area. That's going to be on watch if we can get down there. That 182, 183 area. That could be a big relief bounce right there. But in the middle here, not really interested too much. I'll buy shares, but as far as trading, I'd rather take it here and down here. All right. Google, another relatively weak name in the market. Okay. Almost identical looking to Apple. Okay. Just creating lower highs, trending down here and kind of squeezing into this demand area, this support area around 130, 132. Okay. 130 to 132, anywhere in that range, it started to get a little bit of relief. Okay. So I want to see how we close the day, but I do like that wick off of that level there that shows that buyers are present at that 131. So again, great share buying opportunity for Google at this level, especially with them leading the AI space. They're just working on some things, didn't have the greatest sentiment or guidance for their earnings. I think they missed on something. I forgot. Don't quote me on it, but still bullish overall for Google. All right. However, one thing to pay attention on Google, we look here on a bigger time frame, if I get rid of all these lines, okay, it is kind of broken down out of this monthly trend. Okay. So you see that there. I'm kind of watching that to see but ultimately it's broken down out of this nice stair stepper trend line here that we had. All right. So I am paying attention to that. That could push Google lower, right? And now that it's below this trend, if I turn on a couple of my moving averages here, right, we could see Google lower if the market pulls back. So this is why, with the market at all-time highs yet again, and then we've got relative weak names in the market, right? They could continue lower, right? So I just want to pay attention to that. Let's see here. Where is it on the daily? Bounce right off that 200-day moving average right here. So I do like that it's closing above the 200-day moving average on a daily. So that's a good sign that it's holding up that level. So we could get some relief and it could not come any lower. All right. So awesome, awesome, awesome. It also looks like a little bit of a potential, not inverse head and shoulder, excuse me, a cup and handle. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Cup and handle. A little bit of a cup and handle formation here. If you're not familiar with that formation, cup and handle pattern. Okay. Nice cupping formation, nice pullback, and then breakout. Okay. So I am watching a little bit of that to see if it forms, and then a nice handle formation here, and then breaking back out to highs, going back to, all-time highs plus. When solid companies like this are beat down as far as options go, I tend to look at longer dated options. Okay. It's not going to stay down for long. So I am looking at Google leaps potentially, right? This 170 leap. I want to see where if we can get beat down a little bit more potentially, but this is not a bad opportunity to, look at longer dated call options. These 170 has a decent amount of interest. 155, not too bad, underneath $1,000. Let me look at how those look as far as their value. Okay. So when Google was at highs back at the beginning of the year, this particular contract was sitting at almost $2,000. Now it's $700. So the contract is at a discount, right? So it's sitting at $700 right now. And then at the highs, it was roughly around $2,000. So not too bad of a deal there for a long dated call option, a leap option on Google, right? Those are the 155s. You can look at the 170s as well. All right. Cool. There's Google. So we went on relative weak names. I just want to do an honorable mention. This SMCI. Okay. This SMCI is absolutely ridiculous. Wow. The market is absolutely pushing. Jeez. This is what I should have been trading while I was with you guys on here, but hey, should have been shorting this up here. Golly, doing it for the culture, missing out on money for the culture. I was looking at these 800 put options on NVIDIA, and they just went 100%, 50%, excuse me. Yeah, this contract right here was about 140, and now they're at 240. So, hey, easy money to be made in the market. All right. Let's go over a couple of other names and I'll wrap us up here. So my sentiment, we're sitting at all-time highs. You can see here what we just did and reacted. We reacted pretty aggressively here towards the end of the day. So who knows if this continues, but that is pretty aggressive. Okay. And now we have closed below these highs here. And it is continuing. All right. It is continuing. That is really, really aggressive. All right. Sellers stepping in really strong here towards the end of the day. We've got 15 minutes left until the market closes, and the rest of the market selling off here. NVIDIA. What else we got? Apple forming another bear flag here. Tesla forming another bear flag there. Bitcoin. All right. Bitcoin hit highs. Sitting in this, all-time high, 67,000, but we're in a different space now, right? We've got a candle close above here. Before, our candle closes were at 60,000, okay, on a monthly. So we have now closed on last month just above a weekly, right? Candle close was previously at 64,000, and now we have cracked that 64,000 into 65. So we're in uncharted territory as far as the weekly candle closures here, and we could trend up back to 69. Right, 69,000, and then ultimately 70. I've got a price target, short-term price target. If we crack 70 to 73, 72, 73. All right. So just want to keep that on watch for everybody. Wow, this is aggressive. Dang it. I should have kept my lotto in. All right. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. QQQ. So I'm glad we're doing this live. You can see here as I'm talking through it, what's happening, why I am, short-term, quote unquote, bearish because of the extension on the extreme greed. And then we've got, wow. Oh my goodness. This is just money being made as far as puts. It's just money, printing money on puts, printing money on puts. Oh my gosh, what am I doing? Uh, wow, 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 wow. All right, everybody. Let's slowly wrap this up. This is getting wow, that was a trade idea I was looking at. Cool. All right, let's jump into what else? What else am I looking for? Energy, Exxon, everything in the market. With the market pulling back like this, we just got to be a little bit more cautious on the upside. Okay, so Exxon, I like it at this 105 hold. Now it's broken below 105 again, so not too interested there. Finance holding up really strong here, so keep an eye on the Wells Fargo and Bank of America. Both of those are relatively strong as the market is selling off. This is just slowly pulling back here, which is very interesting. We could have another leg up on Bank of America up to this 37 area here. Okay. So Morgan Stanley, yeah, pushing up out of this, almost a gap and go there, pushing up into this 93 area here of resistance. So just pushing back up into this 93. Goldman Sachs, sitting at resistance right now, but still looking really, really strong. So sitting at all-time highs here. Okay. So if we break 400, I think we're just off to the races for Goldman Sachs. So keep an eye on that. This nice bullish flag here. If we break above this 397, ultimately that 400 psychological level, we could just rip. Okay. Wow. 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 What a sell. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Hopefully this served you well as a summary, okay? Market overextended or just, at all-time highs. We keep pushing higher and higher and higher and higher. As a reminder, do not chase those highs as we push, okay? Make sure you're trimming your profits. Make sure you're taking your profits. For my experienced traders or investors, make sure you're just paying attention, right? Because you can see what happens here as people continue to hold their position when we're in extreme greed, right? This is exactly a sentiment of what's going on. We're in extreme greed at 80. Okay. So you can see the correlation now. What happens when we're in extreme greed? It continues to grind up and grind up. And then we start getting this massive selling, and it's staircase up, elevator down. Okay. Staircase up, elevator down. All right. So I got to check on my community, make sure they're trimming their profits. I did remind all of you, right, if you're inside of Leverage Club, okay, to be cautious of this today. All right. Be cautious of this. Let's check on the wins. Okay. There's Michelle. Cool. Yeah, I think we're good. All right. So thank you all so much. Peace, love, and blessings to you. Hopefully this helped. All right. My sentiment for the week is that we have a lot of heavy data. We could potentially continue that selling that's going on in the market. That was just a start. And then we've got maybe a pushback up into here. But overall, I'm bullish on this market. Every dip's getting bought up drastically, but we've got to be a little bit cautious on the upside as we have just made an absolutely tremendous run from this point on. Peace, love, and blessings to you. See you later.